and gentlemen, let's go.
Gaming, tech, culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
You're listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
Welcome everybody to episode number 23 of the Cool Black Nerd Podcast. This is Vanadium.
That's a mouthful.
I'm your host, Jules. I'm here with everybody's favorite co-host,
Aw.
Justice. How are you doing today?
You know what? It's one of those good days. We got some extraordinary things happening here in Texas. Certain parts, actually some southern parts, it is actually really freaking snowing. And I'm not talking about like it hit the ground and go away. I'm talking about snow.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yep.
That's good. Congratulations to you and everybody else experiencing the snow. Where I am, we just have very cold rain.
Keep looking out for it. It might actually happen.
I don't know. It's kind of hot now. Like now, I think it's just...
The temperature is supposed to drop a little bit more. So, but yeah, just keep a lookout for it.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first episode of 2021. And just like we did last year, I think it'll probably be good to recap the things that have gone on a little bit. Off top, we definitely cannot fail to mention, I'm going to just call it what it is, the domestic terrorism that we saw at the Capitol this week.
Yeah. It was feeling like when 9/11 happened for me, I just couldn't stop watching TV. Also, when Columbine happened, I was just completely glued going like, is this real life?
Yeah, it was very difficult to watch. It was very surreal
Very.
to see that was happening. And then, in the days following, to see that the images that we saw, where one, it was already bad enough where it just looked like the rioters just sashayed or waltzed into the Capitol.
Sachet.
To see some of the other images where it really got violent and they did do a lot of damage to the building itself.
Mm.
And seeing some of the police officers, the ones who weren't actively helping, to see some of the things that they went through.
Yeah. There's some footage that's coming out now when they were showing that they were trying their best to like push them out. And one of the officers being pinned between a door, riot shields, and the people, and just, he's covered in blood. His blood's coming from his mouth and stuff. He's just screaming. And I could just feel the pain in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
It was like blood curdling as he was just screaming, "Help me." And these people are just steady pushing.
Yep. Back to blue indeed. But anyway, moving on to the things that happened in 2020.
It's amazing going back through and kind of looking at things that happened in 2020. And since, the pandemic just took over everything, I almost kind of forgot some of this stuff actually happened, like Brexit. I was like, fuck, that was this year. It feels like it was happening, years before that, but it basically kind of kicked off in 2019 into 2020.
Brexit seems like it happened so long ago. Like Brexit is like, I don't even know.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they've kind of done everything like it's a done deal now, because they're having experiences at the border where, since they're no longer part of the EU, that at the borders when things are they're trying to get things or whatnot, they're expecting a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I was going to say that I have seen that recently, that they're experiencing a lot of trouble with imports and exports, and like just moving around Europe as a result of this, that apparently they didn't think about. I don't know. Hopefully that gets worked out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that.
Another one of the things that had actually happened, and I completely forgot, and it was just it was in earlier in the year, and I remember everyone going like, "How is this possible?" But those Australian fires going on for like months, I completely had forgotten about that. You even remember that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't even remember Australian wildfires. I apologize for people that lost property and life and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember that. That's incredible.
It's crazy.
All right, so let's go through some of this, and shout out to Mariah helping us out with this list.
Yes, Mariah, come through in the clutch always.
All right, so obviously COVID happened, right? Like that happened. Everybody knows that happened. The vaccine is here. You need to stay safe. That's all I can really tell you. Make your own choices. Just make smart decisions, please. Okay. I'm trying to look through this list and like avoid some of the
Okay.
some of the bad. the bad things from that.
Yeah, some of the bad. Okay, this is a little bit more lighthearted when it comes to some of the things that happened in 2020. It's not actually on the list, but it's just I had written down some things previously for myself. But hell, Meghan Markle and her husband, I can't remember his name, but he was the prince in in was is it Harry? Is it Prince
I
Harry?
I don't know.
One of them, but they quit the royal family. They was just like, "Fuck it, we out. You don't like my wife." I I will say, I will say that that was something again that had happened earlier in the year, but I still think that was really really cool that he just kind of was like, "You guys are my family, known you all your life, but this is my wife. Y'all don't support her. Deuces."
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand. Was he the one that he's not the one who was in line to be the king though?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so.
All right. I feel like what did he really give up then? But whatever.
But well, that's the thing. Like they gave up one of the titles and things like that, but everything that comes along with it, like the link to the money, the security.
I don't think they gave up that money.
This is what is said. I'm not sure if that actually happened, but that's what's said.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know. It is dope though. They standing up for his wife.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's dope though.
yeah.
Though this is a good one. Tiger King was in 2020. Joe Exotic.
I know that they've moved it for financial reasons and things like that, but yeah, the park supposedly is still running.
That's crazy. Carol Baskin's still out there.
Oh, she was on Dancing with the Stars in 2020 after all this. I was just like, really, dude?
I mean, it worked out for some of them,
Mm.
I guess. It's still so crazy, man. That whole story. And I don't know if this is sad or not, but as I was watching the show, when he was running for governor of Oklahoma, I really had to like go and look up who is the governor of Oklahoma because I feel like this man won the election. So shout out to whoever is the governor of Oklahoma. I really thought you lost that race, but congratulations, man. I'm glad you won.
And him running for president, that video, oh, it's so I am gay. I do owe a bunch of money to some bitch down there in Florida.
Hey, I can respect it. He put it out there all on the table. He said, my opponents will have nothing to say because I already told you.
That was an 8 Mile moment right there. That was a true 8 Mile.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Tiger King, man. I heard he was trying to get pardoned. I mean, you broke the law. Who knows? I mean, crazier things have happened in the last couple of weeks. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not pardon the Tiger King?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Here's another one. The Pentagon released UFO footage. That's true.
Dude.
That's a true thing.
That so slipped under the radar.
I remember that happening, but I don't know what else was going on when they did it, but Mariah has a note in here that she can't get over how no one cared about it. I don't think I think a lot of people missed it. Like I remember seeing it for like 2 seconds and then I don't know what happened.
Yep.
That made me just be like, you know what? Obviously it's aliens somewhere. So they're not messing with me. It's a pandemic. All kind of stuff is happening. I'm not worried about these UFOs right now.
And just to give context to this, it was actually footage that had leaked a while ago, but no one had ever said anything about it. So it is a pilot in a fighter jet, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this entity that I don't even know what the hell it is that just comes into the screen and it's just weird. And his conversation with Control about what he's seeing is hilarious and frightening at the same time. And the way that it's moving on the screen, like that is just, it freaks you out a little bit. But for the last few years that it's been out, people have just been like, oh, well, either somebody made that up or it's not really real. Of course, a lot of conspiracy theorists were like, yeah, that's the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Pentagon finally came out, yep, it's real. We don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. Yeah. They basically just came out and were like, yes, this is a real video. No, we don't know what that is. And there's other videos of stuff flying and we don't know. So
next question.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, there's a number of things that it could be that is not necessarily aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are other countries in the world who knows what they're testing and flying around in the skies.
Mm.
So at the time, hey, you know what? It's called the unidentified flying object because we don't know what the hell it is.
Yes.
So do what you will with it. I feel like everything else on this list is...
It can. Okay. Let me pull one from mine. murder hornets. Never had heard of that in my life. Had seen some crazy people mess with them on YouTube, but to sit there and be like, okay, well, yeah, we got murder hornets here in the US. And then to actually see how big they are and what they are, these flying puppies coming at you with a stinger. How?
Yeah, I don't know. We in Texas. I feel like all you could do is shoot them things. I don't know. Raid ain't gonna work on that. Like
Not at all.
I hope they got them all. I do. I remember seeing something where they had started like getting rid of the. I don't even know if you call it a colony as big as them things, where they lived in a hornet city, I think. But they had started, tracking them down and killing the queens and stuff, trying to prevent them from spreading. I haven't heard anything about murder hornets since then, but
yeah.
I mean, with stuff like that, I don't know how you really get rid of all of them. I don't know that you can, but hopefully they did. And where did they come from? Like who just has murder hornets as part of their everyday living arrangement? You go outside, you're just like, oh, the old murder hornet over there.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them. Whoever that is. Is that Australia?
I think it was Africa they came from, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Another thing that happened in 2020, and again, it's something that we weren't even thinking about at the time. It was just, hey, you're going to put it out. Sonic the Hedgehog came out, and it was a good movie. When we saw that trailer in 2019, that was the stuff of nightmares.
Oh, yeah, it was awful.
But they were able to get it changed, and the movie came out, and I was like, this is a good little movie, like for real.
It really was a good movie. And I'm going to say this too. I feel like if they could fix Sonic the Hedgehog in 6 months, ain't no excuse for these trash ass movies coming out now. I know this movie wasn't in 2020, but that damn Will Smith Gemini, I'm looking at you. They fixed Sonic in 6 months.
But in their defense, clearly the Sonic movie was good. It was just the CGI was bad because it looks like they
That's
just what I mean for Gemini Man, was that actually a good movie but bad CGI, or was it just a bad movie and bad CGI?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
You're right. It was a bad movie and bad CGI. And yes, Sonic, it was just a good movie with a bad looking Sonic. And they fixed Sonic.
Yeah.
But they fixed it in 6 months. Gemini Man. Your CGI was looking like PlayStation 2 graphics.
But it was supposed to be, industry leading and stuff like that. So, we got Quibi, and then we lost Quibi.
I had Quibi for a little bit. I enjoyed it.
You did?
For
Okay.
the amount of time that I had it. Yeah, it was actually all right. They had some good shows. A lot of those Kevin Hart produced shows were on there. I was about to say Wild 'N Out, but that's not what I'm talking about. The prank show, Punked was on there. That was it. It was actually kind of funny.
Okay.
And then it had some good little interesting, like the idea was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what hurt it is that it was mobile devices only. Like you couldn't get it on TV. And, with the pandemic, everybody was at home. Like, I'm not going to sit and watch my phone when I could watch my TV. So why can't I get this on the TV? And I think that was a problem.
So it wasn't on the TV?
No, you couldn't watch it on a TV.
I thought I saw something where maybe it was later on that they put it in, but that was probably too late by then.
That was because even they said that was one of the things. Like they were like, we should have
done it earlier.
Should have done it earlier or something. Yeah, they hadn't really planned. I mean, not that you could plan for a pandemic, but the way it rolled out as this is a mobile thing. Like we want people to be able to watch a 10-minute show while they're riding the subway to and from work or in the back of an Uber or whatever. And that use case just wasn't happening. So it never really took off.
I find it real interesting about that. And maybe we can do a show on that, on like the viability of this bite-sized content, because TikTok is definitely a thing. The reels on Instagram and IGTV and all the rest of that, the stories and or whatnot is definitely a thing. So it's still necessarily happening. People are doing it on their phones. I wonder why Quibi just wasn't something that would work.
Yeah, we probably do need to do a show on that. But my quick comment is because I think TikTok and Reels are shorter than what a Quibi would have been.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like TikTok, it was at like a minute and a half.
If that.
And I know on Reels you can have content that's longer, but for the most part, it's a minute and a half, where Quibi, everything was 10 minutes.
Yeah. Because I know And I've noticed that I love watching a lot of the YouTube videos, especially when they do like in-depth discussions and almost kind of like documentaries
Mhm.
necessarily on certain things. But I will say for myself, when they get to that like 20 plus minute mark, I'm looking at those videos like, why? Why?
Yeah.
And when they get to like 50 minutes or over an hour, I'm like,
You're not even
I'm not
trying to
on
look
here
at it.
for YouTube for this. Yeah.
Yeah, once you see like that hour long, you like, is this on
hmm
Netflix? Like
Yeah.
why am I not on YouTube?
So I guess I just answered my own question because even on YouTube, you got me for 17 minutes. I'm not gonna lie. After that, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I want to watch all this.
Yeah, I think we start talking about that mobile experience. I think it's just the idea of, it's almost like it doesn't even have to be that you're actually watching it on the phone. Just because it's on YouTube,
Yeah.
you have an expectation for how long it is.
Yep.
Or just because it's on TikTok or Reels, there's an expectation that this is only going to take like 2 minutes and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
And maybe for Quibi, that just didn't work out because you didn't have those situations where you had a little bit more of an extended amount of time to just be looking at your phone or a tablet or something.
Yeah. That was very interesting. Oh, I don't know if you remember this, but we started getting a lot of messages, not messages, but we were seeing a lot of things where people were getting these mystery seeds that were coming from China. And it happened in like all 50 states.
Yeah.
And the Department of Agriculture was like, please don't plant these seeds. And people still did it.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is they didn't turn out to be anything crazy.
Yeah. But it was still just
It was weird.
weird.
What they think it was is that and apparently this happens with other products too, but like a company that sells stuff on Amazon will just randomly send out
Yes.
products and be like,
Mhm.
leave us a review.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what they think that's what it was. I hope that's what it was, but the ones that, like you say, the ones that got planted turned out to really just be normal plants that were okay to be in the US.
I'll never forget like seeing people and they would look like little black seeds and things like that. And that's what kind of freaked me out is that these people just saw, they were like, oh, I don't think it's bad. One lady put one in her mouth on TV. I'm like, oh,
See, I don't know about all that now.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have planted one, but I don't know about putting it in my mouth.
Yeah. She was just like, I don't think it's bad. I was, oh. Another thing, and again, this kind of just got swept under the rug after it was such a big uproar when Shakira and Jennifer Lopez did the Super Bowl because their number was too sexy. You know, her on the pole dancing and stuff like that, and Shakira moving her hips. Like people just flooded
I
the
don't want to hear it. I'm not here for it. I don't want to hear any of that. Y'all were okay with that man had his nipples out the year before, so whatever.
Yeah.
They had their clothes on.
Yeah. That happened 2020. What was another one that I seen? Oh, the toilet paper shortage of 2020. Still don't understand what the hell that was about.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Like, why do we do that, America? Like a flood, a hurricane, natural disaster coming, you go out and buy toilet paper.
Mm.
I don't understand. And now everybody you got 8 months supply of toilet paper in your house. You can't even
Like, what you gonna do with
you
that?
can't fit nothing else in your pantry. What you gonna do with it? I mean, some of y'all gonna find out if toilet paper got an expiration date. As much toilet paper as you got, ain't doing nothing with it. Ain't enough poops in the world for you to use all that toilet paper in your house.
Oh my god. Here's a couple like nice things that happened. Drive-in movie theaters became a thing and for us, you know, our generation and
Mhm.
even like the
Yeah.
younger generation, being able to share that with my son was amazing, which never would have been something that we would have necessarily been able to do because there aren't a lot of drive-ins, you know, prior to 2020. I think we have one here in the Houston area, but it's rare. That I think that they show like one movie a month at that time prior to that. So
Mhm.
you would see in other places where I know there's one, I want to say it's Hockley, Texas, but I may be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But they would do the Jaws kind of like drive-in thing. No, I'm sorry, it's not in Hockley. It's outside of Austin on the lake. They would show the movie Jaws, and you could like be sitting in the water as you're watching it within the lake, which is kind of cool. So that was something that you could do before, but now it's just like a mainstream thing. Even Walmart's doing drive-in movie theaters. Hell, there have been drive-in concerts. I think that's something that's been really cool that's happened in 2020.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting to see how different businesses are adapting, and then you have some that aren't adapting and not doing so well, like AMC. Well, the movie theaters, man. I kind of feel for them. Like on one hand, I understand what's happening, and I know that AMC is trying. You can rent out a movie theater for like $100. It doesn't really seem like it's that bad. The entire theater is yours. I mean, you can watch movies, play games, like really do whatever. But I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know if that's enough to save it.
Well, I mean, again, it's something that's cool. We were able to do it for
Yeah.
Dre D's birthday and actually play Switch on it. So that was really freaking cool. Don't think you would have been able to do that any other time without spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, TikTok blowing up was another thing because people were just trying to do things to keep from being bored. They got a lot of people some notoriety that they probably wouldn't have had any other way. A lot of people got back out to, biking, working out outside,
Mhm.
doing a lot of camping, hiking, things like that. Zoom parties.
Yeah.
D Nice started the whole club
Club
quarantine. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to give everybody a shout out because it does. People start, growing plants, like really just trying to find some things to do for themselves
Hmm.
somehow. Some people are getting healthier, other people are learning new skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real big thing. Because in the beginning, I will say I got flooded with requests of people asking me to help them in how do I launch a podcast, how to do a podcast. It was a little overwhelming in the beginning.
Mhm.
Also, people became a lot more in tune with being present with their kids. So you have a lot of people who were working from home and didn't really know how to juggle turning off working from home, honestly. They'd still be doing other stuff, but their kids are actually in the other room learning or whatnot. Once the kids were done, they come, wanting to be with their parents or whatever. They eventually had to kind of start setting boundaries and rules that, hey, when my kids are done with school, I got to be off this meeting. And a lot of people were saying, like, previously, I wouldn't have done that. It wasn't until I was done with my work that I would be done with the day to go pick them up, or I'd try to put them in aftercare
Mhm.
school or something like that. But now I'm taking more time to spend more time with families and things like that, and coming up with games to do stuff. Some people were really overwhelmed. Other people were able to come up with ways to get over it and not necessarily succumb to it. Other people actually took up mental health initiatives. They took the chance to speak to a provider, a counselor, and things like that, which is something that a lot of people I don't think would have done before. But they were more cognizant of their mental state and how that
Mhm.
affected their lives. So
Yep, I agree. I think, kind of speaking to that as well, I think a lot of companies are changing the way that they do business and some of the expectations that they have for their employees. As a result of this, I know a lot of companies are saying, hey, maybe we don't need everybody to go to the office every day.
hmm
Maybe employees do need more time to spend with families. Like maybe it's okay to say, we don't work every other Friday.
yeah,
And that's just it just is what it is. Or maybe it's okay to say, you know what, the entire company is just off for 2 weeks
yeah,
in addition to whatever PTO you have.
yep.
And we see that it didn't really hurt business and everybody was probably a little bit more productive. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes that way. I'm happy that, that's some of the good things that have come out in 2020.
It was really a lot of stuff that was devastating. A lot, a lot, a lot. But to see some of the stuff that was coming out on the flip side of it to bring awareness, for instance, to things like Juneteenth,
Yep.
things like the people of color experience, let me say that, and the Black experience within living in the United States. More people are aware of, like, oh wow, the stress and the just kind of like everyday living that a lot of them go through to, one, make other people feel comfortable when they are uncomfortable, but
Hmm.
they do it to be a part of society, to be a contributing person of society and things like that. And their contributions have helped so much. So you have other people being more aware and showing appreciation for that. A lot of companies doing that as well, wanting to be more diverse
Hmm.
in their management and things like that. And even coworkers, like when Juneteenth came up, and I actually took Juneteenth off. I remember a coworker was saying, like, I've heard of that, but what is it? And she said, I never would have asked this before because I would have felt bad. But if I won't say anything, I won't know anything. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Makes sense. Sounds good. You know what? That's true. I actually remember having like a group chat with some of the people that I guess I'm closer than normal, yeah, closer to, let's say, than I am with some other coworkers, where they were also just kind of asking me, like, what are some of the things that your family does for Juneteenth? Like, because for them, it's just not even
Mm,
a holiday. So they were kind of surprised to learn, that a lot of people or a lot of families in Texas will have like a family reunion around that same time, and it's just becomes like part of a larger celebration of just family and you know so it was just glad it was cool to be able to explain that to them and get them to understand what that holiday means to a lot of people, a holiday
mm.
that they probably never even heard of.
And also, I will say, for my part, it was, and again, it kind of goes with people of color experience in opening up about that. Because I will say that prior to this time, I may not have been as open in talking about some stuff, or even things like Juneteenth. I would just be like, it's a black holiday. Don't worry about it.
Hmm.
Not necessarily because I didn't want them to know. It was just, I knew that, or I felt that the inquiry into it really wasn't heartfelt, or it really wasn't genuine. So I wouldn't offer up as much information. And I was doing the holiday and the tradition a disservice by not actually, spreading the knowledge that I knew about it.
Yeah. Yep.
There was a lot of learning that happened in 2020. And I will say that some teachers have to get like recognition, because I know a lot of parents were like, this is hard. And I don't think they believed that in the beginning.
Yeah.
I know we say healthcare workers and the essential people are heroes and they do a lot of stuff, but I don't really think that people understood as a society, what the pivotal role of a teacher plays. A lot of us saw either screenshots or conversations between teachers where parents were just like, I don't know what else to do. And they're just like, this is what we deal with every day. Like, I can help you, but you still need, the onus is on you to get the child up and do this and this and that.
Yep.
I think a new respect for teachers
Oh
is
man.
getting out there. What was that?
I was just about to say, so you're right. Some of those messages that you see where the parents are just like, teacher, you need to be doing this, 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 and this. It's like, well, I can't come to your house and wake your child up and give them food and put clothes on and get them in front of the computer. Like, I literally can't do that. So we have to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Things like that shows that we can come together and do a lot of
Hmm.
stuff as a people, as a country, hell, even the world, because a lot of the things that we were seeing in the beginning when the pandemic was locking down over the other half of the world, we were seeing how people were outside singing together or playing games, buildings apart, but still doing what they could to be together. So it is out there. It's just whether or not, that's being taken advantage of and wanting to be, integrated into society as a whole.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So, do we want to end on that? Because I don't want to. Do we really want to go into the bad stuff?
I think we have to go into it
Mm,
just because it happened.
yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, the reason I say I think we need to discuss it because a lot of what we just talked about obviously was born from the bad things happening. So you have, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the others who unfortunately lost their lives in 2020.
Hmm.
And a lot of the things that we just talked about, minorities being able to open up to their coworkers and people in their community about their experience. Without those things happening, you don't have that. You don't have this greater recognition for the country that, what, things are not what we thought they were for everyone.
Yeah.
You have people, I think, taking a look at what it feels like to not be themselves, like being more aware of someone else's experience and being able to, just take the time to listen and try to understand. And I think, honestly, a lot of that, came out of the Black Lives Matter movement and just a lot of the discussions that were had. So it was definitely like a great awakening. Obviously, there's a whole lot more work to do.
Hmm.
And even with the events this week at the Capitol, you can see that there's still a huge difference. And, I think that was even more of a wake up call for some people, I think, just to see the difference in the way that situation was handled versus the response that Black Lives Matter protesters got also in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, as I was saying, putting the positive spin on all of that, it's a opening for us to be able to learn. And there needs to be some healing on both sides, because what happened on Wednesday clearly is some frustrated, pissed off people. I get that. None of that is going to that don't mean you gotta act a fucking fool. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say that. Everything that is born out of their frustration is just coming from not getting your way, whereas the people who were protesting for peacefully, for the most part, during the summer and things like that, was just to be seen, to be heard, to be understood that the color of my skin is causing an issue for you all of the time, and I'm just trying to exist. So
Mhm.
there needs to be healing on both sides, because right now it's just everybody yelling at everybody, and that's not going to help. And as I said, there clearly are avenues that we can get together, talk, and come to some sort of awareness. But if we have where shit like that was happening at the Capitol is going on, it's not gonna ever work. And there are gonna be people that we can't get through to on both sides. But there needs to be at least a common ground, and agree to disagree type thing.
Mhm.
At least.
And I'm going to even say this, like, I wouldn't put it, when we start talking about both sides, like, to me, I wouldn't even put it that way, because I don't know that those two things, like Black Lives Matter and what we saw in the Capitol on Wednesday, I don't know that they are related to each other in that way.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, that there's not any relationship between the two, but I don't think that should have like that kind of dichotomy. Like, you're either Black Lives Matter or you trying to storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's not like that. That's what hopefully people understand that. Like, I don't think that there's a, like that, man, I wish I could think of a better way to say it right now,
Well,
but I
see,
can't.
that's the thing. It's very, very hard to explain what's necessarily going on without being very negative. And on one side is just, oh, I'm frustrated and pissed off because of what somebody's told me. The other one is, I'm frustrated, I'm pissed off because I'm gonna just say it. My breathing and existence is a threat to you, and you would rather see me dead than to actually work with me. That's a totally different dichotomy. I know that's very, very, how should I say this? That's breaking it down to the simplest form, because it's a more complex, nuanced issue for both.
Mhm.
But that's what it is in its simplest form.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess what I mean to say is sort of like that. So when you're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, or movements for social justice that we saw, in large part, what you're seeing is the protesters are saying, I deserve the right to exist the
Mhm.
same way anyone else does.
Exactly.
What we are seeing from the people who stormed the Capitol was, I'm upset that the person that I wanted to be president lost,
Yeah.
and you won't let me make them win. So I'm going to storm the Capitol and try to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I mean. Like, let's not put those two things on the
Same level.
same level,
Yeah.
I guess.
It's let's move on, because I don't want to keep going into that necessarily. And it's just mainly because
Yeah,
it's
I hear
been
you.
said 100 times. So
Yeah. So let's move on this way. Well, the election happened. As a result of the election, we do have America's first female vice president. She's also the first Black vice president and the first Asian American vice president. So, that's pretty dope.
Also had the most votes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We had the highest voter turnout. One thing, like I said, that I always support is people going to vote and people making a decision. Like I said, when I'm talking about voting, I'm not talking about, oh, I only want you to vote for a certain person. I really just want you to make an informed choice. Whatever that choice is on you. But I think everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to have their voice heard.
Mhm.
Because even if the person that you wanted to win does not win, what I think you'll find for the most part is, if the person who did win realizes, like, hey, yeah, I won, but 48% of the people wanted the other person to win, maybe I need to listen to some of the stuff that they have to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to take much for me to lose next time.
Yep.
So that's how I feel about it. Hopefully everybody feels that way. And like I said, always inform yourselves, and especially homeowners. Like, come on now, homeowners. What are you doing if you out here not voting, or you just voting willy-nilly? you really need to find out who these people are. Like, who are your council members? What are they talking about? Because a lot of your local elections don't even really have to do with, political party. Like it could really just be, what are these people supporting and not supporting?
Yeah.
And how is that going to affect me? Like in Texas, we always are complaining about property taxes or trying to figure out where do these property taxes go. The president and your senator don't decide that. That's your little council member, and these mayors of these towns are figuring out what happens with that stuff. So those are the people that you really need to be paying attention to.
That's another thing that we can actually do a show on, because I don't believe that a lot of people are really educated on how the elections go, how their votes count, and how the hierarchy of the people that you put in place for these politics, affect you. I remember watching one of the recent videos regarding the fight at the Capitol. The person explained, they were just like, well, no president that has been elected has ever actually affected me directly. And it was just like, wow, okay. He was like, the only thing that has actually affected me is what my local government has done. And I was like, well, he's right.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah.
And I will always advocate for that and continue to do so. The elections you definitely need to be paying attention to are your local elections. And, of course, everything is going to filter up through that. But yeah, the things that are going to affect you the most is not the president, it's not the senators, it's not your congressperson. It's your mayor, it's your council member, it's your school board, it's your local board of education. It's the railroad commissioner, whatever they do, wherever you live, because that might, like I said, in some of these things, they will have a title like that. They ain't got nothing to do with railroads, but they sure are taxing you to pay for something that you have no idea about. So, those are the things you have to look into.
Yeah. Yep. One of the other things, which I cannot believe again still happened, just in general, but it did happen in 2020, was Kobe Bryant's passing, and the passing of him and his daughter.
That was really, really sad to me. And I'm not one of those people who really, has a strong emotional response to the death of celebrities. I'm not saying that as to be like against people that do, but Kobe Bryant, that one was a little bit more for me. I think more so because it was also the loss of his daughter, and just it really just empathizing with that family to lose a father and a daughter like all at once. That's definitely tough. Chadwick Boseman, that one was tough for me. That one we talked about on the show. That one was actually really tough for me, just because the roles that he played, especially Black Panther. I think just seeing the effect that movie had on kids, especially Black kids, to feel like they could see themselves in that way.
Yeah,
I think that really affected me, and the reason I think it is because for so many people, he is Black Panther. Like sure, he had all these other, really, really good movies that I know about, that maybe adults know about. But for kids, like that, to me, like a kid would see him in Black Panther and then go watch like that James Brown movie and be like, Black Panther is James Brown. Like it's not, oh, Chadwick Boseman is playing another role. Like he literally became that Black superhero. So that was a rough one.
Yeah, I'll never forget. Like I've always loved superheroes and comics and things like that. And I remember I used to post on Instagram like just random facts. And I was just saying that, in the comic universe, like he's considered to be the richest of them all because he's sitting on the vibranium, which is the most rare material within there, even though Tony Stark has this, he's a billionaire, blah, 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 blah. And Batman has that, he's a billionaire or whatever, but it's considered that he may necessarily be a trillionaire in that universe. And I remember posting that fact and somebody going, what is a Black Panther? It was 2013, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Then a little bit later, people going back to that fact, and of course, giving their, comments and like, yeah, Black Panther this, that's so cool, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Just to see, and you were saying it was about kids, but for me, it was just to see people being able to be exposed to that character in general was just so much for me. Like it was just so much joy just being able to see all of the ideas, the iconography, the visualization of this character and everything that kind of culminated from it. Because it started a kind of like a snowball effect of Black characters within the comics after it, and a lot of people being exposed to it. And then after that, just people in general became more interested in reading graphic novels. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was all about Black Panther. Loved every single thing of it.
Yep, I'm with it. So I feel like maybe that's where we can wrap it.
Yeah.
2020 we had a lot of bad things happen, but I think that it was also a year of personal growth for a lot of people,
Mm.
growth for the country. A lot of things got exposed. I think I told you guys before, one of my friends who's a pastor was saying that 2020 is going to be the year where everybody will see more clearly, like literally 2020 vision. Everybody's going to see what's going on around them socially, personally, whatever. And I think, that's turned out to be pretty accurate, I think.
Yep.
So that being said, everybody, let's go ahead and call this one an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast. Again, check us out on social media. Always go check out saywhatradio.com. There are several podcasts in our network that I think everybody would enjoy and love and just have a great time listening to.
Always. We out.